Good morning. Happy Thursday. Today I want to try and talk about a phrase I've used before, which is anything can be abstracted for social status. And I'm going to use the churchianity concept as the opener. But I want you to understand that this is a phenomenon that is everywhere. Again, implicit behind anything can be abstracted for social status. There are a lot of people who will attend church, but when a time of trial comes up, they behave as if they're somebody who does not believe in Jesus Christ at all. So they're there for the social status. They learn the lexicon, they understand the lingo, the logic behind the belief systems, but they don't really believe themselves. It's not a necessity. It's not something that they hold on to dearly and would risk their life for. It's convenience. It's choice. It's a hobby. It's a pastime. And everything has been turned into hobbies and pastimes. Everything has been turned into a voluntary participation. Everything has had the barriers to entry lowered so far that all you have to do is watch a couple YouTube videos and you can hold 5, 10, 15, 20-minute conversations on topics that you have no real understanding of. Or worse, you whole YouTuber accounts where people have an entire career just on repeating nonsense, but because they do it in a way that other people like or appreciate or think sounds authoritative, all of a sudden their social status is off the charts. So then you get a lot of copycats, a lot of people that think that they can just duplicate the same thing over again. So it's this very pernicious cycle. It's a very deleterious cycle, because what ends up happening is that these bigger voices that you hear, the ones that are the most popular, are not necessarily, again, the most accurate or knowledgeable. They're just the ones that have played the game, the social game, to win, and they're winning. Or they've won. They're not the ones that need the knowledge. They're the ones that have figured out how to use the knowledge to leverage themselves into a particular position socially and to keep themselves there. So I use the example of people who attend church but do not believe in Jesus Christ. They want to sing the songs, they want to be participating in the events, they want people to care about them. But they don't fundamentally sacrifice anything. They don't give their lives up. They don't surrender to God. And so when push comes to shove, when genuine survival comes into play, they abandon the church just as quickly as people drop a hobby. It's like people who play video games that are violent, but themselves have never swung a sword or shot a gun or hunted anything. They're involved with activities that are related to that kind of stuff, which are, as far as our brains are concerned, in many cases sufficiently similar. But the practical reality is like they don't know how to shoot guns. They don't know how to swing a weapon. They don't know how to run long distances. They don't know how to pack a bag. They don't know how to it's like they understand enough to talk some of the talk to belong to a social circle, but they don't really get it. They don't really understand it. Another example would be within the automotive culture, people who talk about fast cars, who turn fast cars into an idol. They memorize statistics. They know all about all the details, the which one's the fastest and what track was it the fastest on, and grip pad or skid pad ratings, and all that kind of stuff. So many G's. But they've never driven a fast car. They don't own any fast cars. And they've never even changed the oil in the cars that they have. They don't even do the most basic things to demonstrate a literal understanding of the things that they are involved in. Anything can be abstracted for social status. So the implication, the consequence then, is that I want you to be very careful about the social circles that you sustain, that you invest in. Try to figure out whether or not people really know what they're talking about. Try, and unfortunately, as I've talked about before, the only way I know to do that is through conflict. The only way I know to do that is to push back, to test people, to see if they really understand their stuff, if they really get what's going on. And unfortunately, that ends up coming off as hazing or as trolling or things of that sort. So it can often be greatly unappreciated. People don't like it when I do that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I've been able to find that there are a large number of, again, it's the internet, so everything's going to be abstracted to some degree anyway. But there are a lot of groups where it's not about genuine understanding. It's about understanding enough to get along with the group, understanding enough to be in cohesion with the group. And it's really empty. It's really lonely. It's really disheartening when you do find a topic that you want to dig deeper on, and you find that people are just comfortable, treading water on the surface. They're not really wanting to go any deeper. They're not really wanting to think any harder. They're not wanting to make any sacrifices in order to really have that literal, practical, tangible understanding. It doesn't take much. Like, believe it or not, it doesn't take much to make that jump, but there are a lot of folks that won't do it. So if I'm ever doing it, if I'm the one that's just posturing and posing, call me out. Expose me. Do it. It does me no favor, and it does you no favor to just play along and let me slide, not really knowing what I'm talking about, not really understanding what I'm doing, not really grasping the real objective truth involved in a particular topic. And likewise, I'm going to try and do the same on the topics that I'm most passionate about. I'm going to ask difficult questions. I'm going to try and push and see if folks are really just reciting lines or if they genuinely understand what they're talking about. Because it's so easy to lie, it's so easy to deceive, so easy to put on a show. And the rot that we're dealing with is so deep that even folks who should know better don't. Even folks that should have a better understanding don't. Anything can be abstracted for social status. So be careful the circles that you're in. Be careful what kind of information you take in and absorb and apply. Be careful to make sure that you're investing in people who are actually invested instead of just hanging out, instead of just looking for a club, instead of just looking for people to interact with. Be careful. And invest yourself. Invest yourself in the topics. Understand them. Be involved. Make choices that require you to learn things, to grow, to struggle. And then you'll be able to start seeing those folks a lot easier. Then you will not necessarily have to be condescending, but because you understand the literal truth of stuff, the people who don't are going to stick out like a sore thumb. And obviously it's going to be your choice on what to do with them, but find good people. Find folks that are really invested. Find people who are not just there for the social circle, for the belonging, but who are there for the truth, who are there for the reality. Hold on to those people. Thanks for your time. Have a great rest of your day. God bless.